As you can see, we now have the body off from the chassis. At this point, the header building process can go two different ways. One is to actually start fabbing the headers on the car, and from there, go to the final welding process. The other is to mock up the headers on the car and build from the mock-up. I prefer working from a mock-up. I'm sure those of you who have built headers in the past on the car know the complexities of doing it that way. You're upside down fitting and tacking, hoping when you pull the final tacked up header out, all the fit-ups you couldn't see are going to weld up okay. Also, if there are any missteps in your cutting and fitting, you may have to scrap some of the bends along the way. With the mock-up process, if there are any undesirable fit-ups, it's quick and easy to change, and it's quite a bit easier to configure your design with parts that just slip together. After building hundreds of custom headers using this process, I can tell you with confidence that it works great. It isn't without its limitations, but you will see that the benefits greatly outweigh the negatives.
Here's a typical example of a header mock-up done using PVC, and here's the finished header built in 304 stainless using a slip-on merge collector. This process worked great, even on more complex systems. This customer-supplied mock-up was configured at their location on a Chevy SP2 engine and required precise equal lengths. As you can see, the finished product resulted in an excellent example of the capabilities of this process. This process even works great on turbo systems. The tighter system design requires some special considerations during the mock-up process. Notice a tight radius bend before the turbo inlet elbow and the V-band flange that gives the elbow movement for final fit-up.
There are a variety of ways to mock up a header. The one I'm about to demonstrate here uses a header flange that has stubs tack welded on that are sized for 1.5 inch Schedule 40 PVC. We're going to use a 4-in-1 collector that is also sized for PVC. PVC elbows typically come in a variety of angles, such as 22.5, 45 degree, 60 and 90 degrees. Our customers also have available to them the use of these aluminum flex joints. They have an infinite adjustable angle, and as you can see, this one has been used by quite a few customers. As we proceed throughout the mock-up process, there are other options that we can use along the way. These flanges and collectors are available from Stainless Headers Manufacturing if you decide to go this route. So let's get started on the header mock-up part of this video series.
Okay, so we have the header mock-up flange in place along with the collector. We've dropped this big block into place for our mock-up engine. The tight fit that it has with some chassis components makes it ideal to demonstrate the process. We positioned and fastened the collector on a wooden block at the final location where we want the collector to be. This could be positioned in a variety of ways. It could be attached to a frame rail or a lower body part if the body was on the car, just as long as the position is where you want the final location of the collector to be. Notice a tight fit between number 3 cylinder and the steering box. This will take a very tight radius bend in order to clear this, and we may even have to put a slight tilt on the tube as it exits the flange.
Before we get into the PVC mock-up process, let's talk about some design issues. You may recall that tight spot between number 3 cylinder and that steering box. We're going to get by that with this 2-inch diameter 1D bend. As you can see, it's a pretty tight bend. It should miss that steering box just fine. The rest of the system is going to be built with these 2-inch diameter, 3-inch centerline J bends. I think that's going to work great for the rest of the header system.
So as we start to configure the header mock-up piece by piece, we can check the clearance and tube routing as we go along. A real advantage to using a mock-up process like this is that we get to make changes with very little lost time and material. This versatile system lends itself to virtually any type of header configuration. Initially, all the pieces are loose fit. After the design is just the way you want it, self-drilling screws are used in each slip joint to secure the mock-up precisely. In this particular header mock-up, we were able to use PVC elbows throughout the design. Some header configurations require a degree of bend not available in PVC, so the use of our adjustable aluminum elbows is a great solution for that. The header mock-up shown simulates the exact header design we will be building later in this video series.
Okay, so we have the mock-up out of the chassis. You may recall in one of the previous video clips, we were putting the screws into the PVC to lock it down. After we took it out, we put more screws in the back of it to really lock it down. A rigid mock-up makes a better header. I suggest using a straight edge to go across the flange to pick up a dimension from the collector to your straight edge to verify that after it came out of the chassis, it retained its integrity. One thing about a mock-up, It's just like a real header. You can check all your clearances. You can take it out, you can put it in, get a feel for it, make sure it's what you want, because the mock-up will become your header. You may recall we had some tight clearance areas, particularly number 3. During the fixturing process, we're going to address this and how to fixture and accommodate these tight areas so you can build a header that will fit perfectly when you're done.